Perspective podcast. My name is Brandon, and I am back. We're going to be talking about pro wrestling. I just went to SmackDown on May 22nd, so it's been a little bit of a delay between. I just want to talk about that experience and talk about WWE versus AEW this week. So I went to SmackDown. Definitely not my first time. Second time going to SmackDown. I've been to a lot of WWE events, even back into the 90s. Went to a house show in 96 where I saw Shawn Michaels and Vader go at it right before their SummerSlam match. Way better match than what actually happened at SummerSlam. Went to Buried Alive, the first Buried Alive up in Indianapolis. Got to see Undertaker and Mankind going at it. Later on, went to Cyber Sunday. Saw Kevin Federline running and attack John Cena, I think it was. And just great. I've been to some fun events. Been to WCW. Saw Hogan and Flair fight in a cage. TNA, I've been to a couple TNA events. One when they were in their early days, and then one with when they did the base brawl events, which were a lot of fun. We got to see, that's the only time I got to see Sting wrestle. AEW, have been to several of their events. Been to Monday Night Raw, which I hated. I actually did not like it. Florence Henderson was there. That was that era when they had the mystery GMs or the celebrity GMs, and Florence Henderson and Doink the Clown were there. It was just a long night. So, SmackDown, the first time we went was last year. This was right before CM Punk and John Cena were going to wrestle for the final time. And we had a great time. There was a lot of talking, but still, it felt like a bigger show. We were having a good time. This time we went as the day before Saturday Night Main Event. And it just felt like they didn't have a plan for the show at all. The matches really drug along. It was cool to see Rhea Ripley. We actually ended up leaving 2 hours in. We left about 10 o'clock before the Damian Priest Solo Sikoa match, and also the Cody Rhodes Sami Zayn match, which my son's a big Cody Rhodes fan, and he was just not interested. He's like, I'm just done. He's 9 years old. That's kind of WWE's core demographic, trying to build fans for the next generation, that kind of stuff. But that just kind of spoke to the problems I think WWE's having. They're just really in a down moment right now. And it's kind of crazy that they're in a down moment because they have so much talent on the roster. Like, this Obafemi thing is going to be a star. Like, it's not even a doubt. He's going to be a star if they don't screw it up. Trick Williams is going to be a star. Like, it's going to happen. Braun Breaker should be a star. Even though he's got some injury things that keep happening, maybe he needs to tone his demeanor down a little bit and kind of protect himself a little more so he can actually stay in the ring. But he is going to be something. And it's so crazy to watch this because it feels like they're in a transition period because they have all the older stars up top still. Roman Reigns is still very much in the main event. It is the champion. Cody Rhodes is still very much in the main event. Gunther is an older wrestler. He's in the main event. Seth Rollins is still around the main event. I'm sure when Drew McIntyre and CM Punk and them, when they come back, they're going to be near the main event. And it's like, what are they doing here? You have this other talent. They need to be working with the younger talent and developing them and preparing them to become stars, because right now the product is pretty stagnant. And that was just the men's side of things. The women's side of things was brutal. Rhea Ripley's also obviously awesome. Alexa's my favorite women's wrestler. Charlotte Flair teamed with Rhea Ripley that night, and it was just a clear divide. And there was a Tiffany Stratton Open challenge match with the Last Legend, which was so uninteresting. We were more watching that guy 2 rows down getting upset about somebody putting their feet in their seat and was like trying to start a fight. We were just focused on him instead of the actual stuff that was going on in the ring. So WWE's got some issues. The PLEs are not worth watching anymore. I mean, it's 4 matches. It's like punch, kick, finisher, finish. And that's the structure of almost every WWE match. It doesn't matter what the names are, it doesn't matter what talent they put in there. That's kind of the structure of the entire match. And it's just not for me. It's such a far cry from what it was. And here recently, I was sitting down and I was watching some old stuff from the Attitude Era, actually. I wasn't a big Attitude Era guy. I was actually more about WCW than I was WWE at the time. And I was watching, I think it was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker. It was like an 8-minute Raw match. And my 18-year-old son sat down and he was watching it with me. And he's like, so this is when wrestling was fun. When they're not trying to go like 20 minutes, like 7-8 minutes. They're just fighting. And that's it. And that's exactly what's missing. We try to have these marathon matches, everything, they want every match to be a classic. AEW is guilty of this too. But, on TV, especially 7-8 minutes, in and out, let's do it. AEW did that originally. They were like, there was like 8 matches on every Dynamite, where they were just in and out, and the thing just moved right along. And we've just gotten away from that, where it feels like every match has to be a classic, and it's brutal. But sometimes 10 minutes, you can do in 10 minutes what you're trying to do in 20, and it's a lot better. And these 3-hour shows do not work. It has been proven since the 90s that these 3-hour weekly TV shows are a bad idea. Monday Night Raw was 3 hours for a long time. It was brutal. Like I said, the only time I went to Raw was a 3-hour one. It was brutal. It was awful. I did not have a good time. I was ready to leave. They were taping Main Event before that, and it was just like 4 hours of just ugh. And I hated it. When my kids were growing up, I just decided I wasn't gonna, if I could help it, not take them to TV, because it's so boring. And so I would take them to house shows at the time. Now they don't do as many house shows and live events like they do. They're starting to do more now because they've realized, hey, maybe these young guys need some reps. Gee, what a novel concept. But I would always try to take them to those, and they were like 10, 11, 12 matches back to back to back, and you're still seeing John Cena and Randy Orton and AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan at the time. And, it was just a lot of fun. So WWE has a TV problem in particular. This 3-hour SmackDown thing needs to end like yesterday. Like, it needs to stop. They need to go back to 2 hours. That's just a better pacing for the show. We saw the 3-hour format flop in the 90s with WCW Monday Nitro. It was brutal. I lived through it. It just seemed like too much every week. And they also had, they had Nitro, you have Thunder, you have Saturday Night. Well, guess what? It becomes redundant. It's hard to fill 7 hours of TV every week and keep it relevant and exciting and fun. And the other thing that WWE needs to consider ending is the brand split. Like, it was for a time. It was for a time. Raw and SmackDown splitting in the early 2000s made a lot of sense. There was a lot of star power. There was Austin, Hogan, Rock, Angle, Undertaker. We had Brock Lesnar coming up at the time. Triple H was around. Shawn Michaels was coming back. Chris Jericho was still there, and he was kind of a mid-carder at the time. Eddie Guerrero was there. There was just a lot. Kevin Nash was actually active still. I think Scott Hall was also. And he didn't last long. He was gone after that. But Mick Foley was still around. Randy Orton was on his way up. Ric Flair was still active. Like, there was big names. It doesn't have the same lure when you separate the Cody Rhodeses from the Carmelo Hayeses. And I don't mean that disrespectful to Carmelo Hayes. He's not a main event player right now. And so when you have that big of a disparity and you don't have that many main event talents, the split doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so I think that's something they've needed to end it for a while. I think this would help with their product immensely. Reduce the number of titles. We don't need a WWE title and a World Heavyweight title. We don't need the Intercontinental title and the United States Championship. We don't need 2 women's championships. We don't need, I think, the tag team titles. I think they're, I don't even know if they're separated or not. That's how relevant they've been here for me lately. But it's time to merge things back together and have one brand, one WWE brand, and kind of consolidate it. So, on the contrast of that, I have not watched Double or Nothing yet. I have it in my queue to actually watch it. I went out of town for Memorial Day weekend, I'm recording it right after this. But Double or Nothing for AEW, their second largest gate in the United States, and it's been rated as one of the better pay-per-views of the year. So, while WWE is kind of floundering, AEW is on the upswing, it seems like. And you look at the differences, yet people, I've seen memes like joking about Cope and Christian winning the tag team titles, and here's AEW fans are making fun of WWE for having old talent. Here's this old talent, but it's complete. You look at the main event. I mean, come on, Darby and MJF are like in their 30s, their early 30s, barely 30. Also featured on the show when on the uptick is Will Ospreay, who's barely 30. Swerve Strickland, mid 30s, he's on the upswing, and he won against Bandito. And it's like, come on, like, it's apples and oranges right now. But the main difference, and like I said, I've been to Dynamite I think 3-4 times now for Dynamite. Been to SmackDown twice and Raw once. It was no contest. AEW's Dynamite is so much more fun to go to in person. The show just is paced so differently. It's better to watch on TV. There's not a lot of downtime. It hums right along. It's a much more enjoyable experience for families and kids. I know there's more adult oriented content from AEW in a lot of ways. That's all my only drawback with it, really. But it is a lot of fun to go there. It's a lot more fun to watch it. The only problem AEW has with their pay per views right now, the pay per view quality, I've never watched one where I was like, man, this is really just not good. Their biggest problem is it goes on to like midnight, 1 o'clock. I'm old, man. I'm 40 years old. I don't want to sit there and watch wrestling till 1 o'clock in the morning and have to get up for work the next day. I just don't. And a lot of people are in that same boat. Like, if you're going to do that, start at 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, but have the bell time 6 o'clock. WWE's been doing it. It is awesome. It's awesome for the shows to end at like 9, 10 o'clock. I know they don't do like 3-4 matches and then they're out by 10, but like, come on, let's be considerate of the fans here. And I think AEW needs to probably adopt that moniker as well. That's the one drawback right now for Tony Khan. I think they need to also make the pay-per-views a little bit more accessible for fans. And I don't know if something happens with this Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount deal where maybe they're on the outs or something happens. I don't know if that'll be integrated in. It seems like I don't worry about that necessarily. I think there's an Amazon Prime discussion that's probably going to happen there at some point where maybe pay-per-views and Dynamite become on Amazon Prime exclusives. And I think they'd be okay with that. I think there'd probably be some good money in that. So I don't think he's really sweating that Paramount merger necessarily. It may be a different shift for AEW, but I don't think it's like a death blow for AEW. But AEW seems to be on the uptick right now. They seem to be kind of doing the things they need to be doing, and they're gaining momentum. They're gaining momentum at this point, and WWE should be, I don't want to say concerned, but I think WWE is probably too big to fall. But we probably thought that about WCW too, and a lot of the things I'm seeing from the TKO era of WWE reminds me of Time Warner and their mismanagement of WCW back in the day. Older stars, bloated mid-level scene that guys are not getting their shot, overpricing fans, money grabs, lots of sponsors, and I just wonder where this WWE thing is going to go at this point, because there is a viable alternative. And WCW really got legitimized back in the 90s when Hulk Hogan came over. And not only was it Hulk Hogan, that was like that got people's attention. Then it was Randy Savage. And so I wonder if there's a guy, and I don't think McFoley's it. I think it has to be somebody that's going to be in the ring like consistently, and McFoley's just not it. But I wonder if it was somebody like, and I'm just throwing a name out there, so don't like, well, he's saying that this is fantasy booking. I'm just saying, if it was somebody like a Randy Orton, like if Randy Orton was like, you know what, I'm going to AEW. I'm tired of being on the sidelines, whatever. And he just said, I'm going to AEW. If Randy Orton jumped, that'd be a big deal. If John Cena jumped, that'd be a big deal. If Roman Reigns jumped, that's a big deal. Cody Rhodes could be a big deal. I mean, given their history with AEW, it might be a big deal. But I think it would take somebody like that to kind of stir it. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, though. And like I said, I think WWE's too big to fail and to completely collapse on itself. I think that TV has just changed, too. So if they were sold, I don't think, it's not like their TV deals were contingent upon who owned them. And so they would find somebody else. Everybody wants to be in business with WWE. It's good money for them. There's good fandom. So like USA Network would always be a home for SmackDown. They would at least have that. They would also diversified their portfolio very well. CW has NXT. If they went and said, hey, we want to put Raw on CW instead of NXT, CW's probably like, sign me up. Like, that's a big deal. Then you have Monday Night Raw on like a free over the air channel. So, and Netflix was just touting the other day of how good their partnership with WWE's been. So, and there's also the ESPN jump in with the PLEs. So WWE to me is too big to fail, but AEW could really cement itself as like a legitimate. I think it's already cemented itself as a legitimate number 2. I know there's like some TNA buzz when they moved to, what was it, the channel they're on? I think AMC or A&E. I don't remember what channel they're on. I watched it the first time and I literally haven't watched since. It just isn't for me anymore. I was not entertained whatsoever. And so I've been seeing like screenshots of their crowd where it's like very empty in the arenas, and that kind of thing. And I just, there's a clear divide to me. There's just a clear divide between TNA and AEW as to who the number 2 promotion is. TNA is clearly number 3, but it's just not. It doesn't look professional. Like, the production values of the two companies are completely different, and I've not walked out of a TNA pay per view as excited as when I watch an AEW pay per view. I'll put it that way. So TNA's got a long way to go. I'm still rooting for them. Like I said, I went to one of the early shows when they were in Nashville and they were NWA TNA, and I think it was like their second or third one, and I really enjoyed it. I used to watch TNA every Thursday when it was on Spike TV, and even when it was on Destination America, I still watched it. But they have a long way to go. They just have a really long way to go to get back to relevance, and I just don't know that's going to happen. I don't know that wrestling can support. I don't think there's fans that can support those three. And frankly, if AEW decided they just were done with TNA and wanted to humiliate them, they'd put Collision on Thursdays and take them out. And I think it would work well, honestly. And that's just where it's just the difference between where the two companies are at. It's not that one's better than the other necessarily. I enjoy AEW more. I don't watch Collision every week. That one's for the sickos. It's not for me. I'd rather just watch 2 hours of Dynamite and be good. But there are people that would definitely gravitate toward Collision. So that's kind of my WWE, TNA, AEW kind of ramble. I think AEW's got a lot of good things going right now, and I think there's a lot of good press with them. I think there's a lot of good things happening, and this seems like they finally cemented their rebound from the CM Punk brawl out kind of situation that happened, and I'm glad to see it. I've liked AEW since it started. I've been really in on the product. I was like finally glad. I was always a WCW guy back in the Monday Night Wars era, and I liked the WWE during the Ruthless Aggression era after WCW closed and the Invasion was over and everything. But I really fell out of wrestling pretty hard in the 2010s after Shawn Michaels retired, and then didn't really pay a lot of attention to it until my kids started getting into it a little more. It was kind of just like in and out, and before AEW opened, I was basically not watching any weekly wrestling. I was just watching the Big Four, watching SummerSlam and Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, Survivor Series, and that was it. I was kind of out. I wasn't, gonna spend a lot of time watching. I've been out on Monday Night Raw for a long time. Like, it's not for me anymore. SmackDown, no thanks. I'll watch the clips on. There's nothing that happens I need to see. AEW, I watch Dynamite almost every week, and I really enjoy it, and I have since they started. And I thought they were really good during the pandemic. I think they've been really good on every pay-per-view delivers. With AEW, it's more for me. I really enjoy it more. I like what I'm seeing from it. So I'm glad there's that alternative out there, and I hope they do well. I hope WWE does well. I don't, my kids, like I said, my son likes WWE more, so I don't know if he likes it more, but I think he loves Rhea Ripley. He loves Cody Rhodes. And so that's what we try to at least watch. And when they come around here, every so often, we go to watch. So there's room for both companies to exist and both companies to do well. And this whole tribalism thing of my company's got to win, so this other company needs to go away, and it's just silly. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And frankly, both companies do well. It's better for the fans, and I hope they keep going. But if you're thinking about going to a live WWE event, if you're going to SmackDown or Raw, it's a chore. AEW is a much cheaper, much more enjoyable hang. And also the ticket prices, people talk about those all the time. I know that was a problem here in Lexington, and I know that they kept dropping the ticket prices. I was monitoring them, but they were having trouble moving tickets. The upper deck was pretty much taped off except one random section right in the middle of Rep Arena, but they had dropped those tickets down, and we actually ended up paying like $25 a ticket for them, so it wasn't anything major. But they started off, the lower section where we sat was like $60, and so they pretty much cut the tickets in half to start filling up the arena. So WWE's not moving tickets like they were, and AEW seems to be filling buildings. I know they're the smaller venues, but they may get back to the place where they're doing slightly larger venues, and I know AEW's not going to come around my area here in Lexington, Kentucky anymore, because we don't have smaller venues like that. So they're coming to Cincinnati, doing a really small venue. I don't want to drive. It's like a 2-hour drive for me. I'm not going to do that. Nashville is like a 3-hour drive, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm just waiting for AEW to come back around. But if they do, I'll be excited. My son and I'll go. We'll have a good time. It'll be a fun time. We'll see MJF wrestle this time. We haven't seen him wrestle. Just beat up William Regal. But we'll see. We've seen Will Ospreay, but we'll see some of these other guys we like to watch, and we'll have a great time with it. I'm glad there's options for wrestling fans. There wasn't for a long time, and this is a lot better off. And hopefully the competition, hopefully AEW doing well, will encourage WWE to kind of step up their game a little bit too. That's the other part. Competition helps with the quality of the product. So hopefully that happens. Well, that is it for today's Pence Perspective podcast. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time. We'll be back here in a few days. We're going to be doing actually a Christian devotional. So that one will actually be on both the Pence Perspective podcast feed and the Teach Christian feed. So if you're not following Teach Christian, find that. You can find the direct link at teachchristian.net. It's my website for resources for Christian teachers and educators and parents also. So, and there's general blog there. There's also online courses and ebooks you can buy if you are interested in that stuff. And I appreciate your support. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Thanks.